Lots of people do not have the courage to try to start a business, and all I would say, I mean, I've written a book called Screw It, Just Do It, and it basically is trying to say to people, just give it a try. Actually, sometimes a very, very small amount of money is all that's needed to start a company. I mean, my mother found a bracelet on the street and she handed it into the police station, and after 3 months the police let us sell it, and the couple of $100 was really critical at a critical time in the development of our business. So all I say, just give it a go.
The most important thing about running a company is to remember all the time what a company is. A company is simply a group of people, and as a leader of people, you have to be a great listener, you have to be a great motivator, you have to be very good at praising and looking for the best in people. People are no different from flowers. If you water flowers, they flourish. If you praise people, they flourish. And that's a critical attribute of a leader.
It's a very thin dividing line between success and failure when you start a business from scratch. And if you don't have enough money to pay the bills, you go the wrong side of that dividing line. And if you can somehow get enough money to pay the bills, you stay the right side of that dividing line. I've always been running faster than perhaps I should, and I have great difficulty saying no to things, so keep on taking on new things. And we've just managed to stay the right side of the dividing line over the last 50 years in business. But equally, in those early days, when you're starting a business without any financial backing, it's easy to slip the wrong side. And in fact, most entrepreneurs do slip the wrong side. And the important thing is then just to pick yourself up and start again. And if it doesn't work at that time, keep going until you do succeed, and not to give up.
The next stage is to be a great delegator, and not try to do everything yourself. Try to find people who are better than you all the time. Try to find people who are better than you to put you out of business effectively. So whatever you're spending all your day doing, try to find someone who's better than you to do that, to replace you at it, so that you can go off and think about the next big picture. An entrepreneur is not a manager. I mean, an entrepreneur is somebody who is great at conceiving ideas, starting ideas, building ideas, but then handing over to really good managers to manage the businesses. The moment you've got more than one business, you can't be hands-on doing everything.
Virgin Atlantic, 30 years ago, the New York Times did a review, and they did some market research, and they said, first of all, with a name like Virgin, it's not going to go the whole way, but secondly, that they did market research which said only 7% of people would fly on an airline called Virgin, and we put our hands up and said 7% would be just fine. So we carried on with it. But there were a lot of skeptics out there, and there always will be lots of skeptics when you want to start something new. Everybody will tell you why it's a bad idea, why you shouldn't do it, why you'll lose everything you've got. And in the end, you just got to get out and try to prove them wrong. But good luck.
The word business, it becomes the business, but what you're doing is you're painting a picture. You're trying to create something to make a difference to other people's lives. You have a blank canvas, and you're filling in every little bit of that canvas to get every single little detail right. And if that canvas, sings out at you at the end, and it's a beautiful picture, your business is going to be successful. If bits of the canvas are not quite right, your business may fail. So if you set out to change people's lives, you've got to get every single little detail right. You've got to make sure that the people that you're working with 100% believe in what you're trying to do, and you've got to make sure that what you're trying to do is worthwhile spending your time on, and at the end of the day, you want to be sure that the people's lives you've affected, you've affected them and benefited them. And if you get all that right, hopefully you'll be able to pay the bills at the end of the year.
Do everything you can to survive and not to give up. As long as you tried everything you can, then if you fail, you'll sleep okay, and you'll pick yourself up, and you'll learn. When things are better, you'll learn from your mistakes and you'll start again. If on the other hand you give up, you give up too readily, you'll forever kick yourself. And I wish you all the best in your quest, because I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of people who will fail. But I think the other important thing is just not to take failure too seriously. I mean, it's something that happens to something like 80% of all small business people fail, either go into Chapter 11 or actually go bankrupt, and that's a lot of people, and some people take that really badly, and they should realise that it's the important thing just to learn from it and come back and start again. And an awful lot of really big multi-millionaires and billionaires who've been through 2 or 3 bankrupt companies in their lives, and have learned from them and have come back the stronger. It's what limited companies were designed for by governments. It was to say to people, try things, and if you fail, it shouldn't affect you personally. People know the risk they're having in dealing with you, and don't be embarrassed about your failure. As long as you've tried everything you can to avoid it, don't take it too personally.
Life is short. Life should be fun, and it should be fun. It should be if the chairman of the company is having fun. If you go to a party and if I let my hair down and I'm the first to be thrown in the swimming pool, and I'm not just standing in the corner of the room sipping sherry or something, then everybody will have a laugh and everybody will have fun. If you're chairman of the company, be the first to dance on the table. Just get everybody else up dancing on the table and make sure the party's a laugh. So play hard and work hard, and follow certain principles in life. Love people. Make sure you make a positive difference in this world while you're on it.
There's a very thin dividing line between survival and not surviving, and most people who start in business end up the wrong side of that dividing line, because the bigger businesses out there will try to crush small upstarts, and we had. We were no different from anybody else when we set up our airline. British Airways, set up a unit behind closed doors, and that unit was set up to crush Virgin Atlantic. They had people illegally accessing our computer information. They then had a team of people ringing up our passengers, pretending to be from Virgin Atlantic, suggesting that that Virgin Atlantic was cancelled that day, and maybe at British Airways we could maybe move you over to British Airways. They had people going through my rubbish bins. They had people. Anyway, the lengths they went were extraordinary. Any small business going up against bigger businesses are likely to come up with ferocious competition. So, to beat a big business, you have just got to use the strengths of being small. Generally speaking, if you work for a big corporation, it's quite impersonal, and quite often the staff are not looked after well, and quite often the staff actually don't like going to work because they're not treated well. In a smaller company, you can make sure that your staff are looked after well. You can make sure your staff are proud of what they're doing. You can make sure that that they believe in what they're doing, and they work long hours to try to make the company a success. As a small company, you can be more nimble. You can move more quickly. With Virgin Atlantic, for instance, if we want to change all our seats in our plane to better seats, we can do so in maybe 9 months. For British Airways, it will take them 7 years.
Well, I think you have to define what success is. To me, I've spent a lifetime creating things that hopefully I think can make a difference to other people's lives. Genuinely have never set about to sort of think of myself as a businessman. If I lost it all, I'm sure I'd want to carry on creating. Most of my time is now spent creating not-for-profit ventures like the Elders or the Carbon War Room, or Centre for Disease Control, or trying to protect species, and that's where I get my main satisfaction from. And somehow, even if I didn't have any money, I would do my best to continue to do that.